box, and this is just going to be a super quickie tutorial on how to make this really gross prosthetic for your eye if you want to look like you have a blown out, missing, bloody eye. Thanks for watching. So start with your good sized kind of mound of clay. I do it on one of these clear plastic cutting board things, and I just start by carving it out into a circle that's like a little bit larger than my orbital bone eye socket area, and then I just use various like flat and rounded clay tools to soften it and make it perfectly round like a little hill. And I also use my fingers because the warmth of the fingers kind of melts it and makes it more pliable. Then I get in and I start making the eye shape, and I make this a little bit larger than my eyeball. This way it actually looks like the hole inside my eyelid where my eye would be is missing. I flatten it out more, I carve it out, and I get it to kind of like a little more usable size. I flatten those edges as well. You want to make sure your edges are perfectly flat to your surface so that when you lay down latex, it tapers out to fit your skin. Next, I'm coming in and I'm carving out where my eyelids would be again, and this time I'm going in and making them really detailed and perfect. I do this by going in with like a more pointy tool against my finger to make it appear a little bit more like an eyelid. It doesn't have to be perfect because when we lay down latex, it's going to kind of smooth that out, and we're also going to be packing on a lot of blood and things that are going to make it, you know, less perfect, so it doesn't really matter that much. And then I'm kind of going in and carving out pieces around the eye to make it bulge a little bit more, kind of where your eye bag would be. And I just make sure to smooth it all the while. Next, I'm kind of rolling out little pieces of clay that I'm going to put on the top and bottom of the eye to make, again, a little bit more of that under eye bag shape, just to bring a little bit more realism to it. Next, I'm just peeling up the edges, and I'm getting under there with a nice sharp knife to peel up the prosthetic so that we can shape it to our actual face. Move really slowly when doing this and carefully, but since it's not dry yet, it should be fairly easy. I'm also picking off any little excess pieces that came up when I peeled it up, and now I'm shaping it to my face, and I start by just pushing it into the natural contours of my eye. And then I look up so that it's not falling off my face, obviously, and I make sure that it's fitting there. And then I'm putting in some push pins on the bottom just to stand it up so that it can dry in this exact shape, and so that setting it down on a flat surface doesn't make it kind of squish down flat again. And now that it's dry, I'm going to powder it down heavily with translucent powder and start going in with my latex. I like to just use a little sponge, and I just pat a nice thin layer all over the entire mold, making sure that I cover every little surface, even inside those cracks, and just making sure that it's all covered so that we have one piece. I do 3 layers of this. Do more depending on how comfortable you are. I wish I had done more because the less you do, the more floppy it is and the more wrinkly it can get when you apply it. But if I had done like 5 or even 6, then it would have been a little bit more durable and sturdy. So I would do 5 or 6, but just make sure you wait completely for it to dry in between each layer, and then yeah, cover the whole thing. Now I'm just putting on a foundation that matches my skin tone all over the entire thing. I get it on there with a brush, and then I just use a sponge to pat it in and make it nice and smooth like skin. And now I'm taking a black cream paint just on a precise detailed brush, and I'm painting the entire area where the eye will be missing black. And then I'm going in with a lot of Ben Nye thick blood, and I'm just really heavily packing that on there. I'm not doing it with any rhyme or reason. I just want to make it nice and messy and gross looking. And then I'm taking a little bit of black eyeshadow just to shade above and below the eye, just for a little bit of natural shadow there. And now I'm peeling it up, and you just want to carefully start at the edges and then peel your way in, and just do it slowly and not too hard and keep it intact. And then I'm also picking off all the clay pieces as well. I'm also going in with scissors and cutting off any like weird little excess pieces, like you can see that one there, just so that they don't cause like any unnecessary bumps when it's applied to the face. And now I'm applying latex to the prosthetic and a little bit to my face, just around the general eye area. Please be careful not to get any liquid latex in your eye. And next I'm applying it, I start in the center and I make sure to push it into the contours of my eye like I did with the mold. As you can see, it's wrinkly because I didn't do enough layers of latex, but do more. And then apply latex around the edges once it's all stuck down, and that will smooth them out into your skin. And once that's dry, I'm going to take this little craft store brush with like really hard separated bristles, and that's going to create a stippling effect. And I'm just going to start stippling stage blood onto my face. First around the edge of the prosthetic to kind of cover up the seam, and then I'm just covering that entire area in a lot of blood to make it look like my eye was shot out, so that there's just blood all over everywhere, all over the place. And then I'm bringing in more thick blood around the edges and underneath the eye. I'm also putting little drips of blood to make it look like the blood is dripping, obviously, and I just do this by putting the blood on the end of a brush and just making sure there's plenty of thick blood kind of randomly, sporadically dispersed throughout the whole thing. And now I'm putting a little bit of foundation around the edge and just blending that in. And what that does when it mixes with the blood is creates a little bit of a bruising effect, and it kind of blends it into the skin a little bit more. And then just make sure you go back over with blood to cover up that seam again. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Really the main learning value of this is on how to make your eye look missing. That's what the prosthetic is good for. And yeah, have a wonderful Halloween. I'll see you in my next video.